Hi kids, hang on to your hats. It's time for another Up in the Loft video. I recently posted a video titled Frankie Chooses a Rename. And if you've watched it or read my first novel, Frankie and the Gift of Fantasy, then you know all about how kids on Earth, my distant fantasy planet, choose renames when they get to a certain age, around 10 years old. Renaming is a fun exercise, and Earth children have more control over their lives afterwards. They can decide to eat nothing but pancakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month, for example, and their parents can't object. It's called a renaming wish, and it can't be denied. But you can't choose any old name as your rename. There are rules. A girl named Susan can't rename herself Isabel, even though she might really love that name. Instead, she must shuffle the letters of her birth name around to make her choice, an anagram. Frankie, whose full birth name was actually Francesco, chose the name Soccer Fan, which he loved. Note that if you scramble around the letters in Francesco, one of the options is Soccer Fan. Get it? Let's see what the main character in my third novel, Elvia and the Gift of Passion, does when it's her turn to rename herself. Elvia is a shorter name than Francesco, so there are fewer possibilities for her. I think you'll agree she makes a great choice in the end, though. Here we go. After the trunk had arrived and they'd unpacked, Lacey announced, "Well, Findling, it's time for your renaming ceremony." To that end, she produced an elegant little chest made of pure silver. The name Alice was engraved on the lid in an elegant cursive script. The box contained sparkling gemstones of different colors, each with a tiny engraving of a single letter. They were exquisite, and Elvia sensed, quite rightly, that they were real. "This was my renaming chest back in the day," Lacey informed her. "That's why my birth name is etched on the top." Elvia thought back to what a real one had told her about the rules for renaming. Lacey, she suddenly realized, was a rename of Alice. Elvia was ready to embark on her task immediately. Indeed, a rename had already formed in her mind, and it was perfect. But Lacey explained that the name wouldn't stick unless the renaming ceremony was done just right. She brought along a renaming gown for Elvia to wear and jewelry too. Then for Elvia's unruly hair, she selected a formal affair scarf. Fully dressed, Elvia stared at herself in the mirror. She looked grown up, at least 16, and elegant. She never thought of herself as beautiful before, but now she wondered if she'd been mistaken all along. Lacey was pleased with Elvia's appearance too, and after a few adjustments, she declared that Elvia was gorgeous and set to go. The incense was next, and the renaming throw, a swatch of luxurious maroon velvet fabric about 12 inches square. You spill the renaming gemstones onto the throw, choose the letters in your birth name, E, L, V, I, and A, and scramble the letters from there, she instructed. Meantime, I'm going to take a bath. Children should rename themselves without any outside influence. Lacey disappeared into the bathroom, which was cavernous, and had a huge claw-footed tub perfect for her purpose. She was delighted to see that it was stocked with an array of pampering amenities, bubble baths, soap, and fragrant lotions. Elvia, meantime, got to work immediately, excited that afterward she'd have a renaming wish that couldn't be denied. Cross-legged on the deep, soft carpet, she laid out the throw and arranged the gemstones. With a relatively short birth name, she had fewer options than some children. If her name had been Elizabeth, the possibilities would have been many. On the other hand, had her name been Kai, like one of her classmates back home, her options would have been dismal. Still, unfortunate children like Kai can use their middle or last names for renaming. A real one had told her that the renaming rules allowed that. Lucky for Kai, Elvia thought with a giggle. Ick would be icky. Elvia made short work of her renaming. It took her less than a minute. When she was done, she carefully folded up the velvet throw, returned the gems to the chest, and pinched out the incense. She'd chosen the rename Alive, which suited her perfectly. I'm happy to be alive instead of in the belly of a lion or trapped inside a diving bell, she grinned. My birth name is Ruth. And I guess you can figure out how I came up with the name Yurth for my fantasy world in my books.
Shh.